Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Tejendra Sharma, Professor, Department of Commerce, Kurukshetra University, Kurukshetra. Today, we are going to discuss the topic International Industrial Relations. After completing this module, you will be able to understand the concept and objectives of international industrial relations. Understand the approaches of international industrial relations, industrial conflicts and disputes, and the industrial relations. We will be also able to discuss the influence, concern and impact of trade unions on business and human resource management practices in the multinational companies. Industrial relations deal with the relationships among the employer, the employees, trade unions and the governments. These relations arise out of the day-to-day working of the industry. The concept of industrial relations has been extended to deal with the relations of government with the employees, employers and their organizations. The human resource management practices of international business relating to various international employees like the parent country nationals, the host country nationals and the third country nationals and other expatriates results in the relations among the management of multinational companies and different kinds of the employees. These relations are termed as international industrial relations. These relations play a crucial role in strategy formulation and implementation in the international businesses, which affects a multinational companies working in the different countries. Thus, industrial relations, particularly in the international context, deal with the relations among the employers by employing the who are employing the foreign nationals, employees of different nationalities, home and host country governments and the trade unions which are operating in various countries and their national and international alliances. Following are the three major players in the international industrial relations. First is the employees and their organizations. Employees along with their working age, educational background, family background, experience, attitude, skills, social background, cultures, etc. affect the industrial relations. All type of employees in the international companies like the PCN, HCN and TCN as we discussed right now play an active and important role in the international industrial relations. Employees organizations, also known as the trade unions, also play an important role in the industrial relations. Trade unions are the organizations which work to protect the interests of the employees through various measures like collective bargaining, putting economic and political pressures on the management, etc. Employers and their organizations are the second constituent. In the international industrial relations, employers include all the organizations who employ the foreign nationals. Employers play an important role in the industrial relations. They employ people, pay salaries and other allowances, provide different facilities, make policies, rules and regulations to govern and regulate the industrial relations and also adhere to the labor laws of different countries in which they operate. They want to get maximum results with optimum utilization of their resources. Hence, they expect maximum contribution from the employees towards the achievement of organizational objectives. The variance between the expectations of the employees and the employers results in the industrial conflicts or the disputes. Through the bargaining power of the employers, more and more employees, but in the presence of trade unions, the bargaining power is getting the weakened. The employers also form their organizations to equalize their bargaining power with that of the trade unions and protect their interests. The third participant in this is the government. The government regulates the industrial relations through its labor policy, labor laws and industrial relations policies and acts as a mediator between both employers and their organizations and employees and their organizations. Objectives of international industrial relations. The primary objective of industrial relations is to maintain a sound and harmonious relations between the employers and the employees. Following are the main objectives which are to be achieved by the industrial relations. The first objective is to protect the interests of the employees as well as employers by gaining mutual understanding amongst all the parties participating in the industry. Second objective is to enhance the productivity of the industry so as to contribute to the economic development of the country. It also aims to avoid and resolve all kinds of industrial conflicts and disputes and ensures the industrial peace. It also provides and ensures better working conditions and livable standards to the employees across nations. It also helps to ensure the employees' participation in the management and the profits to enhance their morale and productivity. It also aims to reduce the labor turnover and absenteeism by providing job satisfaction. It also helps in reducing the chances of lockouts and strikes and also encourages to develop the trade unions. Industrial relations also tries to ensure the mutual understanding and cooperation amongst the employees of the host as well as the home country, more trust between the government and the individual roles and commitments to the industry. It also gives recognition and implantation of the human rights into the industry. It also aims to give recognition and implantation of the human rights in the industry. Factors affecting international industrial relations. International industrial relations are influenced by various factors like economical, institutional, social, cultural, political, technological, etc. for operating in various countries where the multinational companies operate. Also, the institutional factors, which include the host and the home countries, employees federations, employees organizations, social institutions, governments and the legal institutions. The next set of the factors influencing international industrial relations is the economic factors. Those factors which include the economic conditions, the policies and the systems like capitalists, socialists, mixed and demand and supply of the labor, the structure of the labor force, etc. The social and the cultural factors. These factors include the population, the customs, traditions, societal norms and the religion. The next set of factors influencing the international industrial relations is the technological factors. These factors include the technological development in the country, the level of automation, information technology and mechanization. The next set of factors are the political and the government factors, which include the political system of a country, the political parties, their philosophies, host and home countries' government policies such as the industrial policy, the globalization policy, the labor policy, the import-export policy, economic policy, etc. Approaches to the international industrial relations. There are different approaches of industrial relations across nations emphasizing on a particular aspect of the industrial relations and provide a framework for analyzing, understanding the assortment and complexities of these industrial relations. The most important approach is the unitary approach, under which the organizations recognize themselves as an integrated unit. They treat themselves as a happy family. Organizations work as an integrated group of people sharing common values, interests and objectives with a single authority. The multinational companies operating in different countries along with their subsidiaries is treated as a single whole, where the parent company has the right to manage and take decisions, if any, manage oppositions whether formal or informal, internal or external or rational. Mutual cooperation is emphasized under this approach. Characteristics of unitary approach. The unitary approach has got several characteristics, the most significant of which is the mutual cooperation, individual treatment, teamwork and share goals, which are the basis of industrial relations. It also helps in conflicts and disputes management, which can be temporary, which results from the poor management. There is cooperation between the management and the union. In this approach, the focus is on the common interest and achievement of the common goals. Industrial conflicts in the form of strikes, etc., are destructive, and these are resolved by the direct negotiations with the employees. In case if the trade union exists, its role will be that of a mere communicator between the management and the employees. The emphasis is on the good relationships and sound terms and conditions of the employment. Multinational companies will ensure motivating and staffing policies, good rewards and compensation systems to seek the commitment and loyalty. Pluralistic approach. Under the pluralistic approach, the organization is deemed to be made up of the powerful and diverse subgroups, each with its own legal identity and own set of objectives and leaders. In particular, there are two major subgroups, trade unions and management. In case of multinational companies, the subsidiaries are the separate units. In each unit, the management and the trade unions of the respective country are also two active subgroups. The trade unions are the legitimate representatives of the employees. Any grievance or conflict is resolved by collective bargaining. The conflicts are treated as a good thing because if managed, these conflicts act as a channel towards positive changes. Characteristics of pluralistic approach. Trade unions are legitimate representatives of the employees. Conflicts and disputes are treated as positive and conducive for the growth and innovation. Strong union is considered necessary. Employees become members of the trade unions to protect their interests. Conflicts and disputes are dealt by collective bargaining, conciliation and arbitration. The third approach is the radical or the Marxist approach. Radical or the Marxist approach is based on the assumption of capitalistic society, where there is a division of interest between the capital and the labor, and this approach sees industrial relations in this background. This approach is also known as class conflict approach. Conflicts are seen as inevitable and trade unions are the natural response of the workers to their exploitation by the capitalists. Characteristics of Marxist approach. According to this approach, the conflicts are a unique and the products of a capitalistic society. Conflicts arise because the division in the society between those who use the resources and those who supply the resources, particularly the labor only. Conflicts are equated with the political and social unrests. Trade unions are seen as labor reaction to exploitation by the capitalists and are treated as a weapon to bring the revolutionary changes. The third approach is the systems approach. The systems approach developed by Dunlop views industrial relations as a system in itself, which includes three major participants: the workers and their organizations, the managers and their organizations, and the government and its specialized agencies for enacting and implementing laws, rules, policies, etc. All the participants have their own interests, goals, beliefs and values which shape the interaction between them. The company operates in the environment consisting of the subsystems like technological, economic and social, which influence the employer and the employee relations. The structure consists of rules and procedures framed for interaction amongst different participants in the industrial relations, collective bargaining procedures, conflict resolution and grievance settlement practices. Dunlop's industrial relations systems approach is an analytical inquiry into the structure and the processes of the dynamics of relation between the management, the employees and the government. Characteristics of systems approach: it is adaptable and suits to all type of organizations. It is applicable to all forms of human relationship. It is dynamism and study of a continuously changing interaction. Industrial conflicts, disputes and industrial relations. Industrial dispute or conflict means any difference between the employers and the employees, or between the employers and the employees, or between the employees and the employees, which is concerned with the employment or non-employment or terms and conditions of the employment. The relations between the employers and the employees are frequently clouded by a sense of exploitation, distrust and discontent. They give rise to industrial conflicts or disputes. There may be several causes of industrial conflicts which can be grouped into 4 categories: the industrial factors, the management attitude towards employees, the government machinery and other factors. Let us try to study each of these factors in little more details. The industrial factors. The industrial factors includes the factors like demand for increase in the wages and allowances due to inflation and high cost of living, demands for bonus, suitable working conditions and working hours, resistance against modernization and automation, demand for other facilities like medical, education, housing, etc. Second is the management's attitude towards the employees. The autocratic attitude of the management, failure on the part of employers to recognize the trade unions, defective recruitment policies, irregular layoffs and retrenchment, inefficient leadership, ignoring the problems of employees etc. leads to the industrial disputes. The third is the government causes. Political leaders sometimes use trade unions as a powerful weapon to build tensions inside an industry or a plant with a view to satisfy their own private needs. Other causes can be the inter-union rivalries, misbehavior, lack of proper communication etc., which can be some of the causes of industrial disputes. Types or forms of industrial disputes or conflicts. Industrial disputes or conflicts can take place in many forms. For instance, the most common form of industrial dispute is the strikes. Strike is a very powerful weapon in the hands of trade union to get their demands accepted. Strike refers to quitting of work or temporary cessation of work by a group of workers for the purpose of putting pressure on the employers to accept their demands. Strikes are of several types. It can be a stay away strike. In this strike, the employees stay away from the workplace. Rallies or demonstrations are usually organized by the employees. Stay in strike or sit down strike. In this strike, employees come to workplace, however, they do not work there. Another type of a strike is the tool down, pen down or mouth shut strike. In case of factories, employees may lay down their tools. In case of offices, they may shut down their pens and shut down their mouths in case of the teachers. Another type of the strike is the token or the protest strike. It is of very short duration and in this nature it is a signal for the danger ahead. In this strike, the workers do not work for an hour or a day. Lightning or a wildcat strike. In this strike, the strikers strike the work without any prior notice or with the shortest notice. Another type of a strike is go slow strike. In this type of a strike, the employees intentionally reduce the speed of the work. Another type of a strike is work to rule or work to description. In this strike, the strikers undertake the work according to the rules or job description only. Another type of a strike is picketing. In this, the act of posting pickets and patrolling of employees in front of the premises of the employers is done. Another type of a strike is boycott. It aims at disrupting the normal functioning of the enterprise. Another type of strike which happens is the gherao. It denotes the collective action initiated by a group of workers under which the members of management are prohibited from leaving or entering the businesses or a particular office or a workshop. Another type of strike is the hunger strike, wherein the employees decide to forego the food for a particular time period to gain sympathy from the public and get noticed by the employer. Small batches of workers may go on a hunger strike in a sequential manner. Another type of the strike is the lockout. If the employer fails to resolve differences with the employees through negotiations, they may shut down the factory in order to force the employees to settle the differences. Prevention of industrial disputes. There are different methods which are available to prevent the industrial disputes. These methods cover the entire range of industrial relations and include enactment and enforcement of progressive legislation, work committees and councils, wage and trade boards, profit sharing and co-partnership, tripartite labour machinery, education, housing, welfare work and all such measures which can remove the differences between the employers and the employees. Following are some of these preventive measures in the industrial disputes. Workers' participation in management. In this method, workers are given an opportunity to participate in the management and are consulted in the decision making. The important schemes of the worker participation are forming works committees or joint councils consisting of the representatives of the employers and the employees. Trade unions and industrial relations. Trade unions are the employee associations or organizations formed to protect the interests of the members arising in the industrial relations. Trade unions increase the bargaining powers of the employees and help to achieve various objectives which they cannot fulfill individually. Employees join trade unions to achieve the following objectives. The economic security. Trade unions help the employees to attain economic security. Employees get better salaries and working conditions. Bargaining powers. Trade unions enhance the bargaining powers of the employees. Management decisions relating to promotions, transfers, grievance redressal, work assignment, etc. can be challenged by the trade unions instead of the individual employees. Grievance redressal. Any dispute or conflict between management and employees is redressed by the trade union through negotiations. Social security. Trade unions help employees to satisfy their social and psychological needs, secure power, etc. Harmony. Harmonious relations. Trade unions strive for harmonious relations between the employees and the employer. They bring out negotiations to promote industrial peace. Sense of responsibility. Trade unions attempt to instill in their members a sense of responsibility towards the industry and international community. Miscellaneous objectives. Trade unions communicate their activities, programs, achievements, etc. through their publications in the form of newsletters, magazines, etc. They also help to provide educational and medical facilities to its members and family members. Trade union structures. The structure of trade unions varies amongst different organizations. However, the structure of trade unions can be classified into 5 types. One type of it is the craft unions, the general unions, the industrial unions, federations and confederations, and international federations. Let us try to understand each one of them. The craft unions. These unions are also known as horizontal unions. These are generally formed by the workers of the same craft or category of the job. For example, the drivers association, the staff union in the railways. The logic behind formation of these kinds of union is that the employees belonging to same category of the jobs face similar problems. General unions. These unions are formed by the employees of any industry, any region and of any job or occupation to protect the overall interests of the members. Industrial unions. These unions are also called vertical unions. These are formed by the workers of different categories. The logic behind formation of such unions is that workers of same industry are governed by the same rules and regulations and are governed by the same management, and their problems are more or less common. Another type of the union is the federations and the confederations. In order to improve the strength of trade and unions, the industrial unions either of the same industry or different industry may form an association. Such unions of unions are called federations. Further, if such a federation to form association, such an association is called confederation. For example, Federation of Indian Railways and central government employees, they may form a confederation. Another type of the union is the international federations, which are the national level federations and may join the international federations to gather international support as well as to deal with the human resource management issues in the multinational companies. Slide 31. Thank you. Impact of trade unions on HRM practices. Students, trade unions in multinational companies influence both human resource practices as well as business practices. Following are some of the effects of trade unions on HRM practices of the multinational companies. First impact is the employment. Multinational companies' decisions relating to the employment of PCNs and TCNs are mainly influenced by the trade unions. Generally, multinational companies prefer to appoint the expatriates, particularly for the senior management level jobs, while the trade unions prefer the appointment of host country nationals for these posts. Trade unions persuade the host country government to enact laws for imposing regulations for appointments of all kinds of expatriates. Relocation of jobs. To take the advantage of low costs, multinational companies usually shift some of their manufacturing facilities to the developing countries where the human resource cost is minimum. This results in the loss of jobs in the parent country. Hence, the trade unions in the parent countries oppose the strategy of multinational companies to relocate their business or the jobs to the developing countries, which increases the cost of their operations. The third impact is the salaries and the benefits. In respect of the salaries and benefits, trade unions are concerned with two aspects: salary discrimination between the expatriates and the home country nationals, and enhancement of the salary and benefits level to all type of employees. Generally, multinational companies pay higher salaries and benefits to the expatriates than those of the home country nationals due to several reasons, like sacrifices of the expatriates in their home country, inconvenience at the host country, which may lead to the feeling of discrimination among the home country nationals. Trade unions demand the multinational companies to pay the same salary package to expatriates also. They put pressure on the government in the form of imposing regulations like fixing of minimum salaries, provision of other benefits like gratuity, pension, etc. Besides human resource practices, trade unions also influence the business practice of multinational companies like optimum size, location, shifting and closure of the plants, joint ventures, mergers, etc. Multinationals, through their strategies and activities, control the influence of trade unions, like offset the loss in one country with the profits earned in another country, alternate or dual resources, develop the ability to shift the production locations, development of diversified portfolios, and development of the superior knowledge. So, students, with this whole discussion in this module, let me summarize the whole thing for you. Multinational companies generally deal with the employees of various countries with varied natural, social, political and religious environment. Multinational companies formulate their industrial relations strategy differently for different countries. In countries like Switzerland and France, industrial relations are seen in the larger interests of the social class struggle, while in most of the other countries, it is seen as a relationship among the employer and the employees. Multinational companies decentralize their industrial relation policies and practices. Multinational companies use the strategy of relegating the industrial relation problems like strikes, lockouts, etc. to the specialists in various countries. Employees working in various subsidiaries of the multinational companies form international trade unions also. To maintain good industrial relations, multinational companies management must adopt various measures like participative management, negotiation with the trade unions and prevention of the industrial conflicts. Thank you.